But our top story tonight, Defence Ministry has finally initiated a process which may just end up scrapping the deal with Anglo-Italian company AgustaWestland, the company which was responsible for supplying of 12 VVIP helicopters. The government has issued a show cause notice to AgustaWestland asking why should this deal not be cancelled. AgustaWestland have been asked to reply to the government within 7 days. Government has asked them to explain the bribery charges which have been made after the Italian probe came into the public domain. This after specifically asking about the recipients of these alleged bribes, whether they were individuals or entities. Meanwhile, the Central Bureau of Investigation has also gotten into the act now. The CBI has registered a complaint in the case on the basis of details which have been given by the Ministry of Defence. Let's first get straight into the heart of the story and figure out exactly where is the story moving. Senior editor who covers defence for us, Anubhav Bhosle, is joining us from the newsroom, and straight from Rome, Sanjay Suri is also joining us live. Sanjay, first to you. You're there in Italy. What is it that the Italian prosecutors, the Italian judiciary is talking about this entire probe?
Well, today they had interrogated Orsi at length. Orsi predictably denied any involvement. He specifically denied any involvement on 3 counts. First, he said that he has done nothing wrong or illicit, and that he did not know of any illicit doings. He said he did not engage the middlemen who have been named in Switzerland, and he said he does not know the Tyagi family and has had no contact with them. The accusations he faces, of course, are of international corruption and of fiscal fraud. So the prosecution, having interrogated him, is going to examine and re-examine its own evidence, its own case against him, in the light of and in the face of the denials that he is making. After taking a considered view on this, they will take a call whether to press formal charges against him.
That's an important point that you make, Sanjay, because if we take a close look at the rest of the probe report, Hatchke, who happens to be one of the key accused and who's given very specific details even about the involvement of Orsi, is there any word at all on what the Italian investigators are planning to do with Hatchke? Do we know where he is?
Well, they have been in touch with him in Switzerland. He has been making representations on his own behalf. Also, a representation was de facto made on his behalf to the extent that there have been lawyers who have been pressing the prosecution here to drop the charges against him. At the same time, we've had Orsi making a representation today saying that Hatchke has been changing his statements again and again, and that any allegation he makes against anybody carries no credibility at all. So the case against him will depend on the case against Orsi and will arise from that.
Now you're saying, Sanjay, that Orsi himself has gone completely back on some of the statements that we ourselves had read and in that Italian probe report. What is the word that you're picking up from the Italian prosecutors who've been involved in this case, and maybe you've spoken to some of the Italian cops also who are there, about the role of Indian individuals? Are they still standing by? For instance, about the role of the former Indian Air Chief, SP Tyagi. What does Orsi say that when he was interrogated today?
Orsi denied having any contact with Tyagi or with any member of the Tyagi family. So from Orsi there is a bland denial, which of course is predictable. The Italian prosecution has other evidence. They have filed a 66-page report on this, and they have alleged all sorts of linkages and involvement. Now the stage is where the Italian prosecution will firm up its case, and of course in order to do that, in order to make sure that the case it presents in court can stand, if of course the matter does get taken to court, it is therefore necessary to include Orsi's views and his lawyers' denials, which were made very emphatically on his behalf. Orsi has not been formally charged yet.
Okay.
The prosecution is at a stage where it is now considering evidence and statements from all sides before taking that call.
Okay, important point there. Anubhav, let me turn to you. The fact that as the investigations continue in Italy, and as Sanjay is pointing out there, one of the main accused, Orsi, denies all kinds of links whatsoever with all the individuals who've been named as his aides. How is the Defence Ministry planning to proceed on investigations from here on?
Bhupen, if you actually look, when the matter first came to light, the Ministry of Defence's viewpoint was very, very clear. They were waiting for what the CBI would come out in its preliminary investigation. So in that sense, not much has changed. But today is an important move made by the Ministry of Defence. It's really the first step towards the cancellation of this particular contract. Remember, 3 VVIP choppers have already come in. About 30% of the money has already gone to the parent company and to AgustaWestland UK. Now, many would ask, what really has changed between Monday and today? I think 2 to 3 primary things have changed. The Finamentia CEO A has been arrested. Yes, Orsi, of course, is continuing to deny those allegations. But yes, I think all the information that New Delhi was hoping to get, either from the Italian major or from the UK company, have really come to be dud. Also, several layers of this controversy have now come forward, and the Ministry of Defence is very, very embarrassed at the fact that this integrity clause was signed. Remember, the integrity clause is a very, very crucial part of all defence dealings that are done, which basically go on to show that the supplier did not involve middlemen, did not pay bribes, did not have any slush funds, etc. What the Italian reports basically have done, have in a sense embarrassed the Ministry of Defence. So these probes are now going to be multi-fronted. You've seen the CBI perhaps sending out a team to Italy. We've seen that show cause notice go from the part of the Ministry of Defence, where AgustaWestland would be answering questions of whether any kind of slush funds were used for individuals, oblique entities, and why, if they did they violate that integrity pact.
Okay, and Sanjay, one final question to you. We're hearing now that the government has taken the first moves, as Anubhav was pointing out, towards a possible cancellation of this entire deal. Some senior officials in the Defence Ministry here in India, Sanjay, whom I have spoken to, say that if this deal was to be cancelled, it will lead to a huge loss of jobs and a huge loss of finances within Italy. Is there any word that you have picked up about a possible impact on Italy should this deal be completely cancelled by the Indian government?
Well, in the first instance, let's not talk of Italy, but of the company. And just to get a perspective, there are senior and well-informed defense analysts here that I have been speaking to, who point out that in 2012, the turnover in the business of this company was 17.5 billion euros. Relative to that, this order was worth about 560 million euros. And of that, a significant portion would have been paid to the company already. So in absolute strict number terms, this is not going to make a huge dent to the company. But the company has been looking at the Indian market as a big emerging market, and this would mean a loss of credibility and a loss of possibility of more jobs and more contracts to come in the future.